Hey guys, we are here with day 26 results and we are going to be talking about checking your numbers. It's very important and I was not doing it. So I'm here to give you that warning. If you have not started carnivore yet, I highly recommend checking your numbers now so that you have an idea of what is normal for your body before you even start this. If you have already started, still go ahead and check your numbers. That way you can at least make sure that you are still within the average normal range, even if you don't know what your specific normal range is. I checked mine today at the request of my wonderful husband, who said, I think that you should probably be checking your numbers. So I did. He was right. I felt like my numbers were a little bit off. I felt like my blood pressure was on the low side based on numbers that I have gotten previously testing, like when I was pregnant. They were in the low end of normal, so not crazy, but still on the low side. Like, I'll just give you an example. The absolute bottom end of normal for the low number of your blood pressure, I can't remember the specific names for each blood pressure, but the bottom number, the low end is 60, and mine was there today, guys. I wasn't super happy about that. I was like, uh-oh, am I getting into some trouble with this? You hope not, especially when you've seen so many positive results on this diet. You don't want to get these numbers that kind of freak you out and scare you. So I looked it up just to see it was okay still, but I am going to focus on trying to make sure that my electrolytes are balanced. Once again, I'm telling you guys, this is the never-ending circle. This is the hardest thing for me so far, and for my husband both. The hardest thing is balancing these electrolytes. Unless you're one of those lucky few that, or well, I don't know about few, but lucky ones who are they just do great without having to worry about balancing electrolytes at all. In that case, just ignore all of this and you're doing great. Good for you. Yeah, and then I checked, the other number he wanted me to check was my heart rate, so I checked my pulse. Pulse was, I don't have a number to compare it to from prior to starting this diet because I was not checking that regularly beforehand. Based on the research that I did, the normal range for any adult up to about 60 years old, I think, is going to be between 60 and 100 beats per minute. Mine has been in the low 80s today, basically every time I checked it. As far as blood pressure numbers, the top number, I don't remember what they're called, but the top number, normal range is between 90 and 128 or so. And then the bottom number, normal range, is between 60 and 75-ish. Okay, so my numbers for that were definitely low on the bottom number, average on the top number. So I'm going to be watching my blood pressure, but I'm especially going to be watching the bottom number and just make sure that it doesn't dip too far below 60, because if it does, it could be a problem, especially because I don't think that my blood pressure was normally that low. My numbers during pregnancies before have been more in the 70s, 70 to 75 for the bottom number. All good numbers, maybe as low as 65, but not all the way down to 60 for me, so I'll keep checking that. You want to just check yourself. If you have not been working with a healthcare provider or your doctor, always recommend doing that, especially if you have any major health concerns, and especially if you are prone to any particular health concerns related to starting this diet, like electrolyte issues or blood sugar due to diabetes or other complications. Just, be safe, guys, when you're doing this, and no diet is worth your health, ever. It's just not. All right? The other thing that my husband wanted me to check was my glucose, because he'd been checking his. He has not been super happy with the results, but it's normal because we are both still fat adapting. We are not fully adapted yet. I checked my glucose yesterday, I believe. It was pretty good. It was 82 for my first check of the morning fasting blood glucose. But then today it was 103, I believe. Now, I did not check it immediately when I woke up, and technically that's when you should check it. You shouldn't wake up, wait a couple hours and check it, which is what I did. And I should have checked it right away, and I did not. So that might have skewed the numbers a little bit. I will check it first thing tomorrow morning. That way I can kind of compare and see where I'm at. Either way though, what those numbers are telling me, my higher number of 103 later on, and then my husband's numbers as well have all been consistently higher as well. What that is telling me is that I'm not fat adapted yet. So in order to get energy first thing in the morning, what your body is doing is it's going to pull, what your body is going to do to get energy first thing in the morning, if you don't give it fuel, it will start to pull protein from your body. Different sources, probably the muscles, any places you have protein stored, it will pull that. The liver will convert it into glucose and it will start burning that glucose because you're not fat adapted yet. So that is an extremely frustrating process, especially when you want to get fat adapted faster. This is one of those things that I mentioned in a previous video when I was talking about fasting and intermittent fasting. And so I actually tried intermittent fasting a couple more times after I did that video just to see if I liked it. I kind of did like it. I started it out with a better mentality, thinking, okay, I'm gonna wake up, I'm not gonna get food for a couple of hours and it's gonna be fine. And I was fine, and I just ate as soon as I got hungry in the morning. However, since I got that higher blood glucose reading this morning, after, doing the intermittent fasting thing once more, I'm gonna take that as a sign that I'm not fat adapted yet. It's not quite time to do intermittent fasting for me yet, because I don't want my body to keep pulling protein to make glucose. This is what, as I was saying, Stephanie Keto Person had mentioned when I was watching one of her videos. And I know Dr. Berg and Dr. Berry both were highly in favor of intermittent fasting. They thought it had great benefits, and I think that it does have great health benefits as well. However, if you're, not fully fat adapted, then it might potentially, depending on how long you're doing it, how your body's responding, it could have the kind of opposite side effect, and you could just be using up your muscle basically instead. Stephanie Keto Person had warned about that in her video and talked about how the body's going to pull resources. If you don't wake up, you're not fat adapted, you don't start out in the morning giving your body that fat, like some sort of fatty source of fuel, that's what's going to happen. It's going to start pulling protein and converting to glucose to burn that for energy instead. So this is just kind of a heads up if you seem like you're struggling with getting fat adapted and you've been doing the whole like one meal a day or intermittent fasting, going 14, 16 hours between your last meal of the day and your first meal of the next morning. You might keep this in mind and try it. I'm going to try to stick with getting that fat in me ASAP. When I get up in the morning, you're giving your body that fat to use as fuel, and so your body's going, okay, I don't have to start pulling protein. I have this fuel being given to me. I just need to learn how to use this instead, is the signal you're sending to your brain. I'm going to try that consistently now instead of attempting the intermittent fasting. And hopefully once my body starts showing more signs of being fully fat adapted, I can switch and start going longer between my last meal of the day and my first meal of the next day. Okay. As far as the eye twitch thing, I mentioned that I had asked some Facebook friends about that. They all almost unanimously suggested one of two things, either magnesium or a vitamin B12 deficiency. So I went with my husband has been doing a better job than I have of tracking what he's eating on this app, and I can't remember what it's called, but I will link it in the description below so that you can see what he's using. It's been really helpful for him to see, because you literally just put in what you've eaten for the day and it tells you how, what percentage of your daily requirements you have met for the day of each individual vitamin and mineral, so that you can keep track of exactly what you're getting and if you're getting enough. I have not been doing that, like I said, but because my husband and I eat fairly similarly, I am going loosely off of what his results have been, and based on that, I don't think that it's a vitamin B12 deficiency. So I'm going to try upping my magnesium every other day. I don't really want to go a full 600 milligrams every single day because I feel like that might be overkill. However, the other thing to keep in mind is if you have leaky gut or gut issues that could be causing malabsorption, you may not be getting the full dose of whatever nutrients you're taking, like electrolyte supplements. You might not be getting all of that if you have any issues in your gut. So until the gut heals up, you might have to take a little bit extra in order to give your body more what it needs. It's a big old complex cycle, and I know it can sound really intimidating. It can feel kind of scary and overwhelming, but I think I have hope that once I'm through some of this adapting phase, things will go a lot better and smoother. And hopefully eating this diet, my gut will also start to heal and I will see some positive changes once that begins to happen as well. Overall, I still say that the benefits of this diet are overwhelmingly positive. Just watched another great video. I will have to talk about that in the future, but just a whole big long list outlining exactly why human beings are carnivores, what the evidence is for it from a biological standpoint, from a historical standpoint, and how that impacts our bodies. It was a great video, and I will probably not link it in this video, but I will link it in another video when I talk about that again. Anyways, that is all I've got for you guys today. I will keep you posted on heart rates and blood pressure and glucose and all of those fun things, and I will let you know how it goes. I'm not going to make the mistake of trying intermittent fasting again until I'm fat adapted, guys, because I don't think that that's a good idea for me right now. I'm just going to avoid it. So you can do what you want to do, what works for your body. If it seems like it's helping you, great. But for me, I don't know, I feel like my body was pulling that protein for glucose instead of using fat. So I'm going to avoid it for now because I don't think my body is completely healed. It's still got a lot of repairing to do before it functions smoothly, nice and streamlined like it's supposed to. I hope that you all have a great rest of your day wherever you are watching from, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye, friends.